good turnout tonight. We're going to get started. Thank you. So the purpose of this workshop, can everyone hear me okay? Because the microphone's a little funky. Okay, so the purpose of this workshop is to help identify things that will help you stand out in the job market. So the job market right now is very difficult. You know, there's a lot of layoffs happening, a lot of people applying for jobs, so it's important for you to stand out as an applicant. So to give you an overview of what we're going to be talking about tonight, we're going to go over some key elements of a job application. So what to look for in a job description and how to stand out on that application. And then we're going to go into some resume techniques. And then lastly, we're going to finish up with some LinkedIn tips and tricks. So when you're looking at a job application or a job description, some key elements are to understand, apply, and prepare. So when you look at a job description, it's going to be broken into 4 parts: the job overview, the qualifications, responsibilities, and benefits. And while all of those are very important, it's most important to pay attention to the qualifications and responsibilities, because you're trying to sell yourself to the company. So basically consider the company as a customer. They're telling you what they want from you, and you're trying to sell yourself to that company. So you really want to pay attention to what they're looking for in an applicant. So when you do look at that job description, you want to pay attention to 4 things: the former education, work experience, hard skills, and soft skills, and see where you have what you have that aligns with what's on that job description. And so for the former education, one example is perfect. So say you have a bachelor in marketing, and that's one of the things that they're looking for. Or your work experience, list at least one example of that. Obviously, if you have more, that's great, but try to get one example, whether it's an internship or something of relevance, but make sure that it's not something like babysitting as your only work experience. Try to get something else. And you guys are all off to a great start, because AMA is work experience, especially if you get involved with the leadership team. You learn a lot of real life skills. And so, And for the hard skills and soft skills, we recommend finding at least 2 for both of them that align with their qualifications and what you have. So this is what a job description looks like for the most part. You can see it breaks into the job highlights, which would have more information normally, the qualifications, responsibilities, and benefits that we mentioned before. So you'd want to pay attention to this skill bucket here, which we just discussed, and highlight things in the qualifications that match. So for example, the former education, right up here, it says bachelor's degree in business administration, marketing, communications. So say you have that, perfect, you match that perfectly. Now let's go down to the hard skills and soft skills. You see down here it says hard skill, Google Drive programs, sheets, docs. So if you have a Google certification or you are fluent in using Google Suite, you write that down because it matches what they're looking for, and so on for the soft skills and work experience. So now I'm going to pass the mic off to Tori, who's going to get into a little bit more detail on how that matches with what you guys have on your tables.
Hey you guys, so I just want to touch base on how it's important to understand the job description and how understanding the job description is going to set you apart from your competitors. So as you can see on the left, we have all of the parts of our skill buckets. We have our former education, work experience, both hard skills and soft skills. Across from it on the right side of a chart, we have our matching qualifications. What you'll do when you're looking at a job description is to find these job requirements, match them in the description with one of these 6. As you can see, the first 4 are pretty self-explanatory. You know, where you went to school, your prior work experience, and any certifications you might have. But when you get to the soft skills, it becomes a little bit more generic. And as we've talked about a lot in AMA, employers are not looking for generic. They look at your resume for about 5 to 7 seconds before going on to the next one. So how do you make those 5 to 7 seconds count? You need to demonstrate how you used your soft skills in prior experience. So one way to do this is actionable descriptions. So what is an actionable description? It's a detailed description of a specific skill utilized in your life in a relevant and timely way. So for an example, we have strong communication skills. If you were to tell me on a resume you have strong communication skills, I would say, awesome, great. How have you ever applied that in your life? And this is how you can put it in an actionable description. So as you can see, it says, effectively communicating with customers via phone, email, and chat to address inquiries, resolve issues, and provide product information. As you can see, they specifically demonstrated how they communicated and how they yielded as a result. So I'm going to ask you, what is a soft skill you believe that you obtained? Okay, communication skills. How have you utilized that in your life? Leadership. How have you utilized that in your life in a relevant way?
I am the current leader of the research team for ANA, so I am in charge of a 5-person team where I delegate responsibilities weekly.
Perfect. Did everyone hear that? Did everyone in the back hear that?
I am the VP of the research team, so I manage a 5-person team and delegate responsibilities weekly.
A really important part of what you just said is specific numerical values. That is something that employers are going to look for. They want you to be specific and concise without running on and running on. So as you can see for project management skills, they've used exact numerical values to make themselves stand out compared to their competitors. Manage multiple cross-functional projects with budgets ranging from $50,000 to $500,000, ensuring on-time delivery within budget constraints. Not only were they specific, but they got to the point without running on their sentences. So now that you guys know how important it is to understand a job description, I want you to take those pamphlets in front of you and find a job description that you find of interest to you or anything that has to do with your major. I want you guys to read the job descriptions, and then on the back of it there's going to be a chart. The chart is going to be the one that we showed up here with the skill buckets. After reading the job description, I want you to go to the back of it and match those skill buckets up with the parts of the job description that fit.
And I think a lot of marketing, advertising.
No? Okay. I just came in, I was like, I'm gonna do it. I did add a minor, just analytics, which is a great minor.
Because I have exactly what they're asking. Or you're going to be in the upper mode, which probably most people are in right now, where the qualifications and the job descriptions that the employer wants doesn't match up. So how do you take those qualifications that you might not be qualified in now and qualify yourself for them so that employers will find you more attractive? Well, the first thing you can do is additional involvements. So if you look at the hard skills and you see that you might be lacking in a couple, you can join some clubs, join any kind of organizations that will fill this void. Or you can do any kind of certification, whether this be in-person certifications or online certifications such as HubSpot, email marketing, anything like that. Those are hard skills that will make you more attractive to your employer. How do you go about those qualifications and how do you get them? So how do you get those qualifications on your resume? How do you get those hard skills and those soft skills locked down? Well, you can do those through SMART goals. I'm sure everyone here has heard about SMART goals. They're talked about in almost every business class. But if you don't know what they are, they're specific, measurable, achievable, relative, and timely goals. So an example of this would be, I will complete the HubSpot Digital Marketing Certification course by next Friday. Not only is the specific saying exactly what you want, but this gives you a timely and relative, based on your application to submit to your employers. So before we go up, does anyone have any Okay, awesome. I'm going to pass it off to the President Kenny, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about resumes.
All right, so you guys have read the job description, so the next step is building your resume. We'll cover a bunch of tips to help you approach the resume building from a new perspective and give you some time for practice and feedback. So first off, some common myths and mistakes. The first being that it has to be one page. Your resume can absolutely be more than a page, especially when it's difficult for you to fit all of your experiences into one. However, even though it can be 2 pages, you have to make sure the content on those pages is purposeful. So ask yourself, does this information need to be here to demonstrate that I qualified for this job? You've read the job description. Is the information that you're putting on the resume now applicable? Is it going to make sense to the person behind the hiring desk? If the answer is no, that content shouldn't be there, and you shouldn't feel the pressure to write more than a page. Next up, LinkedIn suggests that for those on the job search, you apply for 10 to 15 jobs per week. But if you're sending the exact same resume for each of these applications, you might as well be applying for only one job. The easiest and most effective way to change your resume is to rewrite the summary paragraph, which we're going to cover shortly. Tying into the importance of reading job descriptions, you want to make sure to use keywords from the qualifications and responsibilities they provide. And not only is this helpful in expressing that your experience is relevant to that exact job, but many employers are using applicant tracking software which scans through what you've written, and if your resume doesn't include some of those keywords, it may never even reach the recruiter's desk. Next, when debating between what to include on your resume, choose what's most relevant. If you find that you're struggling to find ways to relate past work experiences, it's likely better to leave that out. After you've written your resume, take a step back and consider spacing, clutter, and formatting. I'd recommend that you seek focused, quality writing instead of worrying about filling the page. And finally, make sure that the information is consistent so employers can see the same content regardless of where they're learning about you. Moving on to some tips and tricks. The first up is to quantify your achievements. Corey touched on this. But whenever possible, instead of saying you improve sales, you improve marketing, you focus on analytics, you want to add greater meaning to those statements by saying something like increase sales by 20% in the first quarter. When thinking about how to write those achievements, I prefer using the challenge, action, and result structure. So for the challenge aspect, you want to describe the circumstances of your achievement. You'll follow that with results to show the impact of your work, and conclude with action, which explains how you did that work. So for example, you could say, increase social engagement by 150%, which would be the results, over the course of a 6-week internship, which is a challenge, by developing a strategic social calendar driven by analytics and social listening tools, which is the action. Next up, resumes are read for 5 to 7 seconds on average, so before submitting, ask yourself, is this clear, concise, and direct enough to earn more of the recruiter's time? Action verbs can be used to describe your experiences and add impact to your work, so consider using words like achieved, managed, or implemented when writing those action statements and those accomplishments. And finally, if your experience involves projects or creative work, definitely add a section, a portfolio section to demonstrate your skills visually. I'm going to pass it off to Callie, who's going to take a deep dive into writing those summary paragraphs.
All right, hi guys. Quick question. Raise your hand if you guys have an objective statement on your resume currently. Raise them higher. Yeah, I'm kind of short. All right, so about 40% of you. It's a good amount, but the objective statement, in my opinion, is kind of like the elevator pitch of your resume. It's how recruiters can see quickly who you are in a brief amount of time. As Kenny said, 5 to 7 seconds. So you want 1 to 3 really great detailed sentences that can make you stand out in that objective statement. And that's going to be found at the top of your resume. So it's going to be a concise summary of experience, skills, techniques you have. What makes you stand out? You want to sell yourself. Most of us are marketing majors here, but all of us have to market ourselves as our personal brand and ourselves So that's kind of what this objective statement is for. You're going to summarize your goals in your job search and also relate back to that job description. We keep honing in on that because it is so important. You want to make sure that job description fits your resume so it actually is seen by a human person. So here's an example of a strong summary / objective. I'll just kind of read it out. I know it's a little hard to read for some people. So project leader, over 5 years experience, quantifiable, timely. Combining project management and development and engineering with clinical experience. So just that first sentence right there, you see words like 5 years experience, that's that time, that's that quantifiable thing that recruiters can see. Project management, that's a skill, hard skill. Recruiters say, okay, great, they have project management skills. That's what they see right away. So it's important to be clear and concise through these statements. Adapt at taking projects from concept through manufacturing. Okay? Skilled in medical device development, there you go, industry. Incorporating someone help me out. Thank you. Knowledge of experience dealing with physicians. So there you go, kind of gives a background of their industry and what they do. So just taking away from that, you can see they have project management skills. They are skilled in the medical device development, very specific industry, and they work with physicians. So through that, they must have good communication skills. And that's where those soft skills kind of are shown here. On the bottom, we have lead multidisciplinary teams, defining new projects, setting project goals, timelines, budget, and manpower requirements to deliver products to market. You guys feel how powerful that sounds? If you would just tell the recruiter that, just say, this is what I did. That sounds pretty freaking impressive, right? It sounds really, really impressive. So just using words like that and be able to sell yourself in such a great manner, using these hard skills, soft skills, everything like that is definitely important. And then finally, hands-on engineer experience in computer-aided design, rapid prototyping, device equipment, and test method development and validation, and manufacturing scalable transfer. Same thing, very powerful statements. All right, so now it's your turn. I'm gonna have you guys take 5 minutes, try to make that objective statement. Remember, it's kind of like I always say, it's your elevator pitch almost. You want to talk about yourself, talk about those skills you have, hard and soft skills, and really make that a really powerful sentence or 3 as part of your top of your resume. Any questions, please let me know. We'll be walking around.
Here, I'll show you. Do it more specific. Yeah.
You didn't quit, you went through school, whatever. And dude, I just got a internship for data analytics.
So just a little tweaking here and there that happens, but most of all
It's not perfect, don't worry about it. Well, does anyone volunteer first that wants to share? You want to? Okay, perfect. Hang on, let me bring you the mic. Exact examples of what her experience is and how that's relevant to the job description. And obviously when she actually has an actual job description, she can explain what parts of that are relevant to the exact description. So that was really good. Sorry. So are there any questions about that? Yes, please.
What tips do you have for people that aren't really skilled in using fancy words in their resumes?
so ChatGPT or AI, we just had a whole session on that 2 weeks ago, last week. And, if you even put a sentence in there and you're like, I'm good at speaking or something, and say, can you help me rephrase this? ChatGPT will really help you with that, for real. So I definitely recommend using that. Also, ask a friend to look at it, see if they have any suggestions, and we're always here too. So if you ever want to email one of us, we are open arms and we want to help you. So does Professor Banner. He's really good at resumes. He loves it. So, yes, Callie.
Can you talk about any soft skills or hard skills that you learned in AMA to be your objective statement?
Wait, what was that? What? Okay, yes. So, some stuff from AMAUT, you guys all just participated in an AI event. I just kind of talked about that, but you can say, I have experience working with professionals or, the soft skills of communicating and being able to, if you go up afterwards, you talk to them, you ask them for something, they say they give you a certification that they recommend, and you go do that. That's something that you can add to your resume. Especially if we keep doing these workshops, which we're planning to, we're going to have a lot of skills that you guys can earn from that as well. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is your digital resume, if you think about it, because your job employers, they're going to go right on your LinkedIn and see how you are. So some tips is that you want to definitely have an appropriate headshot and cover photo, because that's the first thing that they see when they open it. So you want that picture to not be blurry, you want it to be professional, and you definitely want to make sure that you can see your whole self in it, or your head. And then you also want to have a strong About Me section. I mean, we just emphasize that in the objective statement. And you also want to really emphasize that on your LinkedIn. You want to include all your experience, just like on your resume, and you want to utilize the job search and any certifications and SSI score, which we'll explain. So I kind of just covered the headshot, but for your headline, which is your About Me statement, which is similar to the objective statement that we just talked about, something to consider is your current position plus 3 hard skills. And just to emphasize, hard skills are technical skills, so something that you can physically do. And then you also want to apply that back to something that you know. And you can also include your involvements, your courses, and any of your accomplishments, such as awards and titles, etc. The skills, hard skills, soft skills, and again, describe those using actionable and quantifiable examples. And you want to connect with people. So don't just connect with people because you knew them, in middle school, but actually connect with people that are going to help build your professional portfolio, someone that you can reach out to that's in your job fields, and not only connect with them, but reach out to them and, build a relationship with them, react to their pictures and posts, and even if it's something like, congratulations, but always be professional with everything you write, because a reminder that always pops up on your timeline as well. And also create, so don't be afraid to post something. So at our AMA events, if you get a picture with one of our speakers, hey, this is who I met. They're the SVP of marketing. They're these powerful people that you've connected with. That's something incredible that you want to share. So don't be afraid to do that and build your presence through content ideas. And lastly, you want to stand out. So one thing that I actually just learned from Professor Beamer is that there's this setting on LinkedIn that removes similar people. I need to look back on that and how to do that, but Callie, if you know after, you can explain, or Sakshi. But basically what this is it's right in your settings. I'm sure it's really easy to find, but when someone goes to your account and they scroll down, they're going to see people who are similar to you. So similar majors, school, etc. But that's free advertising. Remember, you're trying to sell yourself. You're not trying to sell your friends. I mean, honestly, you're trying to get these employers to see you, not other people. So that's one thing. And it's also important to receive recommendations. So recommendations can be from past employers or from a faculty advisor, somebody that you've worked directly with. They can add a recommendation on your LinkedIn. So when people go and do your account, they're going to see that someone gave you a shout out and said, hey, this person did a great job doing XYZ, and that shows somebody that values your work outside of just you talking as well. And you can just, don't be afraid to ask for that either. And so next I'm going to have Sakshi come up here. She's going to talk about your SSI score.
Thanks, Megan. I think it's not fun. Okay. So coming back to the point that similar people think, so you can find it under profile, under privacy settings, and just turn it off and you're good. So yeah. So LinkedIn doesn't even just, how would you know everything you're doing is right or wrong and in which direction to go? So there's a social selling index which tells exactly how you're performing on LinkedIn, and it tells where you might make some improvement. So there are 4 components to this score. There's first, like, how is your professional brand on LinkedIn? Do you have everything, if you just go to the LinkedIn, you can see there's a profile section which says how much of your profile is built up. Try to complete it to 100%. It gives you a pretty good professional branding score. Second is finding the right people. So right people just doesn't mean the people who are your acquaintances. They could be who can help you in getting a job or whose interest you follow most, right? Third one is engage with insights, like we were talking about creating content. So creating content could be sharing insights on other person's post or doing a content writing of your own. And the fourth component is building relationships. So building relationships, it doesn't matter if you're having 2,000 people in your connections. It doesn't matter how good these connections are. Are they relevant to you or in your profile? That's what creates this score. And this score gives a very good indication of where you should move forward. Like in this profile, you can see probably the person should work on finding the right people the most, because other profiles are still working good, but that is one thing that this person needs to work on. So if you want to go ahead and you can just put on the Google what is your SSI score right now, and we can see what SSI score we are getting right now. Do you want to try that?
Yes.
Let's go for it.
Alright, so we're approaching 7 o'clock now. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we just talked about? No, okay. So here is a QR code that links to our link tree. And just to remind everyone, our link tree has the links for everything. So whether you want to register for an event, our leadership team, etc., it's all in the link tree. But what we're asking for tonight is that you fill out the post-event survey, and on your way out, if you show our members in that back table right there that you filled it out, you will get some munchkins. So please do that. We really appreciate your feedback because we want to take your feedback and bring it back to you for future workshops. Also, for the event next week, this is very important. So, the event for next week is starting at 6 p.m. sharp. So if you are not in the theater by 6 p.m., you can't go in because we have to shut the doors and start right at 6 p.m. So we are please asking you to get there a little bit early because we have to check in over 200 people. Also, please remember that this is the CEO of the Tampa Bay Lightning, so please dress in business casual or wear your Lightning gear. Just try not to show up in sweatpants and stuff. I know you're coming from class, but this is a very professional person who has a lot of publicity, so we want to give him that respect.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Please scan our QR code. I hope you all have a great night.